Hollywood has always been the land of stories, a place where dreams come alive, cultures are shaped, and history is brought to life on the silver screen. But what happened when these extraordinary talents were boxed in by a system that gave them limited, stereotypical roles? Today, we're reflecting on some of Hollywood's most talented African-American stars of the Golden Age who, despite being restricted to portrayals tied to slavery or servitude, carved their names into the annals of cinema history. Number 1. Hattie McDaniel. Hattie's legacy is one of triumph and tragedy. In 1939, she became the first African-American performer to win an Academy Award for her portrayal of Mammy in Gone with the Wind. As Mammy, McDaniel brought undeniable humanity and dignity to a role that was, at its core, a depiction rooted in servitude. She earned global acclaim for her performance, cementing her place in cinematic history. Yet even this historic achievement was bittersweet. She attended the Oscars at a segregated hotel and was relegated to a table far from her peers. Hattie faced significant criticism from the African-American community, who argued her choice to play the stereotypical maid role perpetuated negative portrayals of Black people. To Hattie, acting was about survival as much as it was about art. Despite the controversy, she paved the way for future generations, creating opportunities even when Hollywood refused to grant them. When asked about the role she played, she famously quipped, "I'd rather play a maid for $700 a week than be one for $7 a week." Her story is a reminder of the complex and often impossible choices Black actors faced during this era. Number 2, Butterfly McQueen. Butterfly's portrayal of Prissy, the young, immature housemaid in Gone with the Wind, 1939, remains one of the most memorable performances of the era, though it resonated for both good and bad reasons. McQueen brought both energy and humor to the role, yet the character was written as a patronizing stereotype of ignorance and incompetence. Despite her talent, McQueen's Prissy became emblematic of the kind of roles Hollywood reserved for African-American actresses at the time. Off-screen, Butterfly was open about her distaste for the role she was offered. She famously said, "As my characters grew dumber, I grew smarter." After Gone with the Wind, she sought work in other capacities, including public speaking, but Hollywood had little room for her beyond the servant archetype. Her later life was marked by a retreat from acting and financial struggle, even as she remained a beloved figure for her role in one of cinema's most iconic films. McQueen's career serves as a cautionary tale about how even immense talent couldn't overcome the racial confines of early Hollywood. Number 3, Paul Robeson. Paul was not just an actor, he was a force of nature. Known for his deep, resonant voice and commanding presence, Robeson excelled in roles tied to Black identity. In The Emperor Jones and Song of Freedom, he portrayed characters that referenced slavery and colonization, weaving them with dignity and complexity. Yet these performances often placed him in stories that grappled with oppression, reflecting the limitations of the roles Black actors could access at the time. What set Robeson apart was his outspokenness. As a staunch advocate for civil rights, he wasn't afraid to challenge Hollywood and societal norms. However, his activism came at a steep price. By the 1950s, Robeson's socialist views and activism led to him being blacklisted during the Red Scare. Hollywood turned its back on him, rendering one of its brightest stars persona non grata. Robeson's experiences reveal how Hollywood punished those who refused to adhere to its narrow expectations, even as they brought gravitas and respect to their portrayals. Number 4, Rex Ingram. Rex Ingram dazzled audiences in the 1936 film The Green Pastures, portraying dignified spiritual characters rooted in biblical stories. While the film was praised for its ambitious casting of an all-Black cast, Ingram's roles were closely tied to the stereotype of the spiritual African-American man. Critics of the time noted that the film didn't move far beyond caricature, but Ingram's mesmerizing performance elevated the material and earned him recognition as one of the most prominent Black actors of the era. Outside of cinema, Ingram struggled with the industry's limited imagination. He sought to play complex characters, but roles continued to typecast him based on servitude or spiritual mentorship. Frustrated with the lack of opportunities, Ingram eventually moved to Europe in search of better career prospects. His journey underscores how Black actors, even ones as extraordinarily talented as Ingram, face systemic biases that were impossible to escape within Hollywood's golden framework. Number 5, Stepin Fetchit. Stepin, born Lincoln Perry, was one of Hollywood's highest-paid black actors during his time, reaching fame for his roles as the slow-witted servant stereotype in films like Hearts and Dixie and The Younger Generation. His character, the first in Hollywood history to embody the archetypal lazy, subservient African-American, made him a pioneer, though not without immense controversy. He was often mocked and criticized for perpetuating stereotypes that demeaned African Americans, and many in the black community viewed his character as damaging to their fight for equality. Despite the inherent racism in these roles, Perry navigated a precarious Hollywood system, becoming the first black actor to achieve millionaire status, breaking financial ceilings in the process. Yet his legacy remains a complicated one. For Perry, these performances were storytelling, exaggerated characters that played by Hollywood's unwritten rules for fame. However, the laughter came at a cost. He found himself trapped in a role Hollywood wouldn't let him out of. Financial troubles and failed attempts at evolving his career eroded his fortune and popularity. Stepin Fetchit's career serves as one of the starkest examples of Hollywood's systemic racism, where an actor could build a legacy only by being confined to roles that reinforce societal prejudices. Number 6, Ethel Waters. Ethel was a luminous presence in film and music. Known for her remarkable singing voice and electrifying performances, she starred in films like Pinky and Cabin in the Sky, which dealt with segregation and racial identity. Though not explicitly portraying slaves, Waters often found herself scripted into roles tied to servitude or moral archetypes designed to frame her characters as secondary to white leads. Still, she brought nuance and pride to these roles, transcending the stereotypes thrust upon her by an industry built upon systemic bias. As a woman of immense talent, Ethel Waters broke barriers, becoming one of the first African-American actresses to receive an Academy Award nomination for Pinky. Yet her career never reached the heights it should have because Hollywood sought to compartmentalize her abilities. Waters struggled to secure leading roles and was often relegated to musical performances or character roles. Her story reflects both the trailblazing power of her talent and the tragic inability of Hollywood to provide equal opportunities for black artists during the Golden Age. Number 7, Clarence Muse. Clarence was a multi-talented actor, composer, and writer who sought to challenge Hollywood's stereotypical portrayals of African Americans. Although he often found himself cast in servant roles, such as in The Cabin in the Sky, he used his talent and creativity to imbue his characters with depth and humanity. Muse's refusal to perpetuate degrading tropes and his ability to transform small roles into memorable ones is what made him stand out, even in an industry that routinely sidelined black actors. Muse's career spanned over 6 decades, and he became the first black screenwriter in Hollywood, co-creating opportunities where roles didn't exist. Yet despite his efforts, he encountered the same limitations placed on all black actors of his time. Hollywood refused to stray from the stereotypes that Muse actively fought against, relegating him to the background of cinema history. His contributions as a trailblazer are undeniable, even if the industry limited his access to the spotlight. Number 8, Canada Lee. Canada Lee was an actor with a profound sense of social justice, known for his portrayals in racially charged films like Cry the Beloved Country. A classically trained violinist before finding his way to acting, Lee brought dignity and gravitas to every role he played, even if the material was mired in stereotypes or limited by its era. At a time when few black actors were given opportunities beyond side characters, Lee garnered acclaim for roles that didn't shy away from topics of colonialism, oppression, and systemic racism. However, Lee's outspokenness, particularly about issues of civil rights and racial inequality, led to his own career struggles. Like Paul Robeson, Lee was blacklisted during the Red Scare, with Hollywood deeming him too radical to employ. He refused to compromise his principles, and as a result, his acting opportunities dwindled. He passed away in 1952, leaving behind a rich legacy but also a stark reminder of how Hollywood punished black artists who demanded dignity and equality. Number 9, Louise Beavers. Louise is best remembered for her poignant role in Imitation of Life, 1934, where she played Delilah, a housekeeper whose subplot poignantly explored race, class, and identity. Though her role was groundbreaking in its emotional depth, it remained rooted in servitude, a reflection of the era's cinematic limitations for black actors. Beavers delivered a performance that was both heart-wrenching and unforgettable, with critics praising her ability to outshine her white co-stars in emotional resonance. However, Louise Beavers often found herself trapped in the role of the mammy archetype. Despite her immense talent, she was repeatedly cast as a loyal maid or housekeeper, a reflection of Hollywood's unwillingness to see black actresses as anything more than extensions of white families on screen. Beavers struggled with the lack of meaningful opportunities, but her contributions helped plant the seeds for more dynamic portrayals in future generations. Number 10, Dooley Wilson. Dooley achieved widespread fame as Sam in Casablanca, 1942, immortalized in cinematic history for his touching performance of the song As Time Goes By. While Wilson brought charisma and emotional authenticity to the role, his character was, like many black roles of the time, limited to the subservient realm. Sam was positioned as a loyal sidekick and confidant, a trope frequently assigned to African-American characters during the Golden Age. Outside of Casablanca, Wilson's career largely echoed this pattern, with Hollywood rarely offering him roles that expanded beyond the shadow of white leads. Despite the constraints, he became a beloved figure, remembered for a performance that transcended stereotypes while remaining symbolic of Hollywood's exclusionary practices. Dooley Wilson's name is forever entwined with one of the most iconic moments in film history, but his career is also a bittersweet testament to the systemic roadblocks faced by black actors of his era. Hollywood may glitter with stories of fame and fortune, but the actors we've discussed today reveal the shadows of an industry bound by systemic inequities. Their contributions remind us of the resilience and brilliance it takes to transcend barriers. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories like this. Oh, and before you go, click on our next video. I'm sure you'll love it just as much. Thanks for tuning in.